This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Speed with Coy O'Leary is coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, powered by Rivals. Make sure you go to thehoosier.com, sign up for a free account, get on there, and you'll see all kinds of new content. Appreciate you joining in with us today. Todd's actually sick, but Kevin Brockway is going to be joining us here on the program and expecting to talk to Mo Creek, and we're going to see who all else we can get on here on the program today. Just one of those weird Thursdays. Not a lot going on. Kevin Brockway is joining us now. Kevin, how are you, brother?
Good morning.
Man, it's just it's been a weird time, of course, for everybody. As each day we come in here and talk about how weird it is out there, but it's not changing anytime soon. But you put out some good pieces here of late. I know you had one on Cam Cameron, which is a unique perspective.
Yeah, well, Cam was the coach, at IU during 9/11, so that immediately just kind of came to my mind about, somebody that dealt with, navigating a team through kind of a crisis situation, or the last time the sports world stood still. He basically had some interesting perspectives as to how it impacted that 2001 team, what he did to gather his team together. And also, how it impacted the team going forward. Back then, of course, they had that the Bourbon Barrel, rivalry game against Kentucky, and it was supposed to be that week after 9/11. It got postponed to the end of the season until December. But what ended up happening was IU finished that year with back-to-back wins over the rivals, Purdue and Kentucky, to close the season.
Yeah, that's a rarity, man, a rare way to go out on a season, but it was sure a good one.
Yeah, and another interesting thing about the 2001 season, Jim, was Indiana opened that year at NC State, and a quarterback named Phillip Rivers threw 3 touchdowns against them and beat them 35-14. And I remember talking to Cam about that. He goes, not many people were beating Phillip Rivers back then, and of course, now he's in Indianapolis with the Colts.
Yeah, not a lot of people are. Not everybody's happy about that. I guess some people are. I guess to see how that experiment works out. But it cracked me up. We were talking about this yesterday with Todd. And what was it that the coach said? He thinks that his quarterback's elite, despite the interceptions, despite the age, despite the lack of mobility. He thinks he's still elite. And Todd said, "Well, I guess that makes me elite too, then, because I don't have any of those characteristics either."
Well, a veteran QB, I don't know if, it seemed like last year they were sold on Brissett. I don't know what the situation was with regards to, him coming back from injury and how that limited maybe his effectiveness towards the end of the season. But don't forget, Jacoby Brissett put up a bunch of points in that game against Tampa Bay. I think it was more the defense failing late in the season that really hurt the Colts. And, of course, they addressed that by picking up DeForest Buckner. But we'll see when and if there's an NFL season. As this continues to stretch out, Jim, as I think a lot of people around the country are getting more and more anxious about, when and if live sports are going to come back.
Yeah, that's the big question that we're all waiting on. But I think that, of course, they're going to come back. It's just when is it going to happen, and what changes are going to be? What's it going to be like when they do? Now, I know when they first come back, we're probably looking at everything being done with no fans. But there has to be a point. It's coming back to where the fans will be there. What's it going to be like? Is everybody going to be sitting in there in masks and rubber gloves? There are definitely going to be changes.
Yeah, or, do you do maybe fans with social distancing and, basically have stadiums that are half full with, seats that are, maybe you're sitting one seat apart. That could be a solution. You'd lose maybe half your money at the gate, but maybe that's a compromise that you do, for the 1 year until the vaccine comes out. There's a lot of interesting, theories out there how they can handle it, but it's going to be, it is definitely going to be fascinating to watch for sure. But first, we have to get through this, and it's good to see that Indiana was somewhat proactive in the stay-at-home order. But you've still got 2,500 cases in the state, and obviously throughout the country, we see it raging in New York, California, Louisiana. It's gotten really bad. It's starting to get worse down in Florida, and my mom is down there, so I worry about that. My brother's down there, so it's just a really, really scary times.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm a kind of a person that's half an idiot. Of course, you know that already. But I usually don't. I'm take this like. Of course, I'm taking this serious. But this would not be something normally that I would be concerned about. Like I don't worry about getting sick because I usually don't get sick. But I have been uber cautious on this. I mean, since we came home from the Big Ten tournament, I barely have left. I mean, I barely go anywhere because of that fear. And it's funny, the few times I have ventured out, it's like, man, people are still out here and about, though. They're out and about. It's kind of funny when you do go out. But, yeah, it's been weird to the life change. I was talking to someone yesterday. I haven't been on the IU campus in a month now, which is a weird thing for me. Not used to that. But, yeah, just the life changes is what's funny.
Yeah, it's interesting. About once a week I go to Panera just to get breakfast to take out, and I drive through campus, and it's, I think when I first did it 2 or 3 weeks ago, you could still see some people scurrying about or people, packing up boxes, but it's a ghost town now. I mean, you drive by there and maybe you see a few workers working on buildings. I think that's what I think what's happening at IU is probably with no students on campus, they're taking a lot of time to do renovations. I've noticed that. But other than that, you don't really see much at all when you drive down 3rd Street and past the campus.
Except for a few parties, apparently, as we saw over the weekend or last couple of days ago, there were 3 parties that is either Bloomington PD or IUPD broke up. The 2 of them were just kind of small, but one of them was like 200 people of kids out there. And it's like, you can't say a lot because we talked about the fact that I promise you, if I was 19 or 20, I probably would have been right in the middle of that mix. But it's hard to get the kids to take this thing serious. But I think for the most part, most people have.
Just remember this, Jim. The frontal lobe of the brain doesn't fully develop until you're about 25 or 26 years old. I'm sure if we all look back on some of the stuff we did in college, cool. That combined with the feeling of being indestructible, you're young. You don't take it as seriously, but we're seeing, more cases of younger people, that are getting this disease, and some sadly that are dying as a result. I think it's really your system and how your system handles it. I was sick 3 weeks ago. I mean, who knows? You don't know. I was never tested, and I didn't have fever symptoms, but you don't know. I mean, that's the thing. You don't know if you're a carrier half the time. I had a friend of mine who told me today, I was thinking about, I'd gotten a Buffalo's gift card for my birthday, and I was thinking about going there and sharing some wings with him. And he said, I'd really love to do it, but I'm a little concerned about my health situation. And I was like, all right, well, forget about that. Don't worry. You don't have to be an excuse to me. So I think everyone is being ultra careful at this point.
Got to go out to Buffalo's, man. And so any excuse to go to Buffalo's is great. Hey, I saw yesterday Ed Schilling finally popped back up. He's an assistant coach out of Grand Canyon.
Well, good for Ed. That's great. And I saw his wife took an assistant coaching job with the Indiana Fever as well. So that's good to see. And it's, obviously last week, and I'm sure you talked about this, Jordan Geronimo being Gatorade Player of the Year for New Hampshire, coming to IU, and then Trey Kaufman being Gatorade Player of the Year for Indiana, and that's interesting as well with IU suddenly being in the mix for him along with Xavier and Louisville. So we'll see how that transpires.
Yeah, that's something to look at because I think that's something very important. Indiana, what have you heard anything more on that?
Trey Kaufman?
Yeah. I mean, I know that he's the player of the year, of course, but he's got so. You keep hearing this funny thing is you keep hearing leans. But it's so early yet. The leans are well, sometimes they start to tell the truth, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I remember when we watched him in December, it seemed like the prevailing theory that Xavier was in the lead. But now it seems like Indiana's gaining a little momentum in terms of his recruitment. So we'll see where it goes. Obviously, with the recruiting now, I mean, that's the other interesting aspect too with, no in-person visits or no visits to houses. Basically, all these coaches are doing it by phone and text. So that's kind of the way that they're going to have to do it for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, it sure didn't slow Rick Pitino down as he nabbed 6 in his first week as head coach at Iona.
Well, Rick can recruit with the best of them, as we know.
Talk about the HBO.
Guys, so.
Yeah, you talk about that HBO thing that the scheme that's out. I know, so you mentioned that, and you talked about Pitino on there, how the feds really seemed to want him in prison.
Yeah, no, he was the one that they were after, but God, the FBI. I mean, listen, this is Christian Dawkins' side of the story, so he can spin it the way he wants to, but it made the FBI out to look, I thought, really inept and borderline corrupt in terms of how they handled this investigation. And you think of the taxpayer money they were spending on meetings with yachts and this, big party out in Vegas. And then, the FBI agents are gambling some of the money that's being used. And one guy ran off with money, apparently, allegedly, and was taken off the investigation. I just, I wonder, and it seemed like they were trying to get assistant coaches to accept bribes, and Christian Dawkins was saying, no, that's not the way this works. This isn't effective doing that. So, and some assistant coaches did obviously take money, but it just seemed like the way the investigation was being conducted, it didn't seem like the FBI really had a handle on how the whole system works.
Yeah, that's unfortunately that seems to be the case too many times. Often is the case, but Rick Pitino ends up being the only coach that did lose his job. Yet nothing, no charges against him from the NCAA. It was kind of funny. I mean, his crimes were actually because he had done too many things at Louisville. But it's just weird. And then you got Will Wade, who's still coaching. And of course, Archie's brother, who's in Arizona, and there's just a lot of scuttlebutt there. It's going to be weird to see how this plays out with coming out on the backside of all this coronavirus stuff. But yet, there's all this NCAA investigation that's supposedly still going on behind the scenes, and it's going to be interesting to see how that fleshes out.
Yeah, and I think obviously this situation, probably pushes that timeline back a little bit more. But hopefully the NCAA will get to it and do the right thing and, do its due diligence. And I think the issue is they're trying to get, the evidence from the Southern District of New York right now. And once they get that, I think they can kind of move forward there.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation, and look, and harking back to the piece on the Cam Cameron, a lot of times people think of Cam, they think of, how can you not think of Antoine Randall? But the kind of one thing that sticks out about him is the 1 year that he got moved to wide receiver. That was a failed experiment, but man, how about one of the greats playing here at that time when Cam was here, Antoine Randall? What a spectacular athlete he was.
Yeah, no question, Sam. And it was really a catalyst. And it was, when you look back at Cam's tenure at IU, there were a lot of just misses, but never a bowl trip. And I guess after 5 years, you go 5-6. But that last season, I mean, they had a really close loss against Utah. If they could have won that game, I think that, you're 6-5, and maybe Cam Cameron, sticks around and is coaching another couple of years. But then if that happens, Cam Cameron doesn't go on to the NFL and, has some success as an offensive coordinator. And, he did have the one season with the Miami Dolphins that did not go very well. The Dolphins were kind of in a bad spot, with Nick Saban leaving him in a lurch. And he was kind of the bridge between, Nick Saban and Tony Sperano, and had that 1 year where, the Dolphins were historically bad. They were 1-15, but I remember he took a lot of heat for drafting Ted Ginn over Brady Quinn. at that time, and Ted Ginn turned out to have a really successful NFL career. I mean, he had some issues with some drops with the Dolphins, but Ted Ginn was clearly a better player than Brady Quinn. So Cam Cameron made the right call there.
Absolutely. Hey, Kevin Brockway from CNHI Papers is sitting with me right now. We've got lots more coming up on Coyle and Larry and the Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Coming up next, former Hoosier Mo Creek's going to join us. Later, we're going to talk to Rivals National Director of Recruiting, Corey Evans, as well. Stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, powered by Rivals. Go to thehoosier.com. Sign up. It's free. We're back with all that and more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-446-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, powered by Rivals. Welcome in Mo Creek, one of our favorites. Mo, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good to see everybody got back. I know one of the guys that you were overseas, and was it scary getting back?
I actually was scared getting back just because I had to go through New York, and that's where it kind of all started, other than, like overseas wise. But
right.
in the States. It was tough going through New York, but we got checked out for everything before we went back, so it was a good thing.
I know Jordan Hulse has been on with us, and he was coming back from Germany, and I saw I think it was Zeislov that was stuck somewhere at one point. I'm not sure if he got out yet or not, but yeah, just a lot of guys over there, and I know it was scary getting out. And then now once we're back, it's like it's a weird scenario. What's going on with you, Mo? What are you doing to pass the time?
It's been tough. Now everything is closed, so. No gyms, really no stores. In Maryland, we have like a curfew now. You can't be out at a certain amount of time. So, like, I try to get everything done during the day as far as being outside. So I'll get shots up outside. I'll do like my conditioning outside and stuff, and then I'll just chill out for the rest of the day because you can't really do anything.
Yeah, it's a funny deal. I mean, I guess everybody's down to virtual games, and then again, I guess all the young kids that have been playing these video games are laughing at us now because they got stuff to do.
Yeah. So I'll do that during the day too. I'll either play video games throughout my day. That's what I'm really doing most of the day, or I'm spending it with a couple of my friends, and we're just trying to stay safe in these tough times.
Yeah, it's a weird scenario. And then now, how do you look forward getting back to basketball? That startup, what that's going to be like with this weird layoff? Because normally, even when you're off, you do things to stay in shape. And then I know you're trying now, but you're limited. So, have you thought about what that's going to be like?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that tough, just because I'm doing what I usually do. I have a weight room in my house that I can use, and you can always go outside and get a good run in, and you can always go outside and get shots up and stuff like that. Try to keep yourself poised and ready for the next season. So I feel like getting back to what I need to be for the next season won't be hard. It's just tough because everybody is home right now, and these are the times that we actually play against each other and try to stay in shape the other way instead of having to go another route.
Yeah, I just thought of an idea. I guess we're going to have to do maybe we can start playing some virtual horse with guys. We'll get Leary and you hooked up, or Jordan, and we'll have to do that on video. I mean, it's weird to be down to that craziness of thinking about that stuff. But with everybody watching Tiger King, that's how crazy times are, man. Have you seen Tiger King?
Yeah, I seen it. It was crazy.
Oh my God. It's like Tiger King is the TV equivalent of the coronavirus. I mean, it has spread everywhere, man, and it's just infected people. Yeah, that's a weird deal. But are you staying in contact with any of your former teammates during this time? Are you talking more because of that?
I really haven't gotten in touch with a lot of people. What we do is we'll see each other on like Instagram, and we'll like each other's stuff, and in that ordeal. But I know they're still doing stuff during their day. Like they're still finding a way to work out. They're still finding ways to stay in contact with what they need to do for their next season. So I haven't really bothered them yet, but I will probably soon enough.
Yeah, you got to get those guys involved. Hey, thinking about your days back at Indiana, talk about some of your favorite memories there, some of your favorite big games. Of course, the big one against Kentucky is always huge. A big freshman year, 31 points. Man, could you imagine having an output like that against that whole high profile of an opponent?
At first, nah, I didn't. I couldn't imagine having it, because you're a freshman and, you're just new to the game. It was a big game. They were ranked number 4 in the country. They had a lot of pros and stuff like that. And we were just getting started on what we needed to do to be successful. And, I just got hot. And it was great that I got hot against that team because I knew a couple of guys that were on that team. So they won the game. But I was happy with the game that I had, and disappointed about the loss, but happy about the game that I had, because after that, my stock kind of rose, and from there on in, I just tried to maintain it and keep it. And, unfortunately, that didn't happen, but that's what started everything off, honestly.
And of course, injuries played such a big part in the early part of your career. I mean, when you were a freshman, you were rolling. After the Kentucky game, you were the top scoring freshman in the country at over 17 points a game, and then the injury hit. How much did that derail your development, do you think?
A lot. As a kid, all you want to do is play basketball. That's all you know. So now you got to figure out how to maintain and get back to the state of form that you can get to, to be the best player that you can be. And at that time, I did not know how to do that. I mean, I had great supporting staff behind me as far as Tim Garl, Janae Jackson, and my teammates and the coaches and stuff like that to get me back. But as a kid, I was very immature on, doing that. I didn't really develop myself as much as I needed to get back 100%. So they stuck with me every day. They pushed me to be the best player I could be as far as trying to get back, because they knew they needed me for the season on end. So, I appreciate them for that, because, it's tough dealing with an immature kid and that don't want to put in the work, at that time, because all I wanted to do was shoot. All I wanted to do was, I wanted to play. I didn't know how to work out and get the strength back in my leg that I needed to do. So I do appreciate them for that.
Yeah, and you think back because we're all so immature when we're young, when we're at that age, and how many kids you think that could be so great, but that this happens, the mind happens and gets in the way, and kind of derails things. But you obviously you battled through a lot of injuries, and you just kept pushing, and you're one of the most popular players out there, former Hoosiers. Everybody follows you. You're still going today, but it took a lot of perseverance. Where did you get that perseverance? Because man, you fought through so many devastating injuries, and you just keep coming back.
Yeah. First, I gotta thank God for giving me the strength to do everything that I need to do to get back. I mean, secondly, my family and everybody in my family, because there's been times I was thinking about just giving it up, especially doing it 3 times. It was tough to go by, but I mean, I think the most important part was my daughter. Just thinking about her and thinking about what I had to do as becoming a father. Like, it's not about me now. It's about her and making sure she maintains what she needs to do, and I have to help out. You know what I'm saying? And this is the only way I knew. I never had a regular job. I never had a 9 to 5. I've always just played ball. So like, my thing is now I gotta be able to find a way to make this money and be successful at basketball to make sure I can, have a good, maintain a good state for my daughter.
Isn't it funny how it takes for some of us, me including it, that it takes having a kid to grow up, to mature? I just thought of that. I mean, because I'm right there. I'm in that boat. I mean, it takes having a kid to get yourself to mature. It's kind of weird, but yeah, it's funny how that works. Also, man, you played on some of the very, very important teams for Indiana. Of course, coming off of that bad time, and you played for Coach Crean with some great guys, Vic and Jordan, and all those guys. But man, it was a very, very important time for Indiana basketball and what you guys did. And how special is it for you to have been a part of that?
It felt great to be a part of that. I wish I was a part of it more, but I can't. I ain't gonna really complain about the time. You know what I'm saying? I got a chance to meet good friends, good family, and good people. And as you can see, everybody is still in some way connected. You know what I mean? It's not like how it used to be, which is fine. You know, everybody has their way. Everybody has to, you know, got families now, got things to take care of and stuff like that. But, you know, like, at the end of the day, we're still connected in somehow, some way. But I got a chance to go through the struggle and the success, and not a lot of people can say that. And, you know, it sounds weird. Like, why would you want to go through the struggle and then the success? I mean, I feel like that is what helped me grow as a person too, going through a 6-25 season, going through a 10-21 season, going through, you know, just all the injuries and stuff like that throughout the way. That's what helped me grow to be a pro.
Yeah, that's pretty inspiring. And then you come through all that and continue to push. Amazing. Where does that drive come from? And that, you mentioned your daughter, but there's a lot more to it as well. I mean, you're an elite athlete, and it takes the amount of drive it takes to battle through those injuries and to keep going. I don't know if people understand, because the rehab is intense, and you're not getting to do the things you want to do, immature during injuries, but yet still managed to get through that. That's got to be one of the proudest things that you've done.
Yeah, might be the most proudest thing I've done, honestly, other than, you know, having my child and everything. But I feel like, you know, people don't really understand what 3 surgeries in 22 months mean to somebody. That's less than 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So when you having these surgeries or whatever, and you got to find a way to get back, you got to, you know, really bust your tail. So I really feel like this is probably one of the greatest comebacks in history of ball to me, because like I'm doing it now, and I'm come next year, I'm going into my 7th season as a professional. Did I want to get to just about that I wanted to get to? No. But, you know, I'm played overseas last year, and I'm still seeing people that are at home. You know what I'm saying? So I got the opportunity to play and be successful while having these injuries. And, you know, I see some people that didn't have injuries that couldn't even make it away from their house, and just wishing on the day that somebody will give them a call. So I appreciate the fact that, you know what I'm saying, I actually got through this terror of time and made my dream job.
Incredible. Mo, I cannot thank you enough, man. You're always solid gold, and we always appreciate you coming on with us. You're so great and with your time, and I cannot thank you enough, man.
Man, thank you. I'm always blessed to be on this show, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mo. Stay safe, brother. We'll talk at you soon, and have a great rest of the spring.
All right, you too.
Thank you, sir. Mo Creek, former Hoosier, joining us here on the program. Coming up next here on Indiana Sports Beat with Corey O'Leary is Corey Evans, national basketball analyst at Rivals.com. We're talking some recruiting action. Stay tuned. We're back with that right after this.
That's where you're gonna go when you die. When you die and you lay to rest, you're gonna go to
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, powered by Rivals here on this Thursday. Joined now by Corey Evans, national basketball analyst at Rivals.com. Corey, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing today?
Cannot complain. Todd, unfortunately, is off sick. Having a migraine, unfortunately. But of course, this seems like what's going on out there gives a lot of people a migraine right now.
No doubt about that. I couldn't agree more. You there?
Man, recruiting is turned into a different animal now because of the coronavirus, of course. Everyone's affected the same. But I guess one of the bigger things, Corey, is the kids that aren't going to get to participate in these AAU events this summer that aren't already slotted for a school someplace.
Yeah, that's the issue. I mean, it's mainly the members of the 2021 class, the rising senior class. They were supposed to use this spring and summer to really enhance their recruitment for some of those guys that are the no-namers, the breakout emergers. They won't have the chance to do that. They had their film, I guess, from high school, but it's one thing to have film from high school compared to the Nike, Under Armour, Adidas circuits that give that platform to really enhance that recruitment is really going to be dwindled, and it's very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, and then of course you look at Indiana. That 2021 class is one of the best, supposedly one of the best classes in a long, long time. So there's going to be a lot of guys that are affected.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, for the most part, at least those schools there in Indiana, they understand who those kids are, right? I mean, since it's just a hotbed state and a great class, already relatively well known, so that's the one positive there. But still, if some of those kids want to separate themselves, like a Trey Kaufman wanted to decide, or if he had it in him to separate himself as not just a top 100 prospect, but also maybe a blue blood guy or a top 25, top 30 guy in this class, that chance might be no more.
Yeah, and he just, ironically, he was just awarded the Gatorade Player of the Year in Indiana as a junior, which has caught me a little bit by surprise. Quite a few good seniors in this class, but that's a big award for a junior to grab in this state.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, to have that pedigree already and to win that award and that great of a state with that great of talent. And I'm not even talking about the 2021 class. We're talking about 2022 and also, of course, 2020, you have guys like Anthony Leo and Trey Galloway right there. To win that award is pretty impressive.
And you talk about those guys. Those are some of the guys coming into Indiana's class next season: Anthony Leo, Trey Galloway, Jordan Geronimo from up northeast, but also Christian Lander. Most likely, he is attempting to reclassify. I'd be surprised if that doesn't happen. That's a nice class for Archie Miller to bring in. A lot of guards, though, very guard heavy.
Yeah, he definitely is going the guard route. But if we can kind of recall during his Dayton days, that's when Archie found his greatest success. And I wouldn't be surprised if, he can put all four of those incoming recruits on the floor at the same time, using Galloway as kind of a three-man type, Geronimo 6'6", 7-foot wingspan, long, athletic, could play the four in some certain lineups. So all around, I think he really hit in every facet when it comes to shot making, speed, quickness, toughness, and athleticism.
Yeah, and I think that is where Hoosier fans are going to see this program going. Archie talked a lot about tempo last year. We didn't see it on the floor, but I think that had a lot to do with personnel. But it seems like that's the direction he's headed.
Yeah, well, you know what? As we probably understand, there aren't many more quicker guys around in basketball, high school or college, than Christian Lander. So if tempo is the primary objective for Archie next year, having a guy like Christian Lander definitely will help that.
The one thing that if you talk about a hole in the recruiting right now, if you look forward, is that a big and where Trey Kaufman is kind of a bigger, but he's more of a wing. So, but if you're going tempo, you're probably not going to rely on the size as much. But they will be devoid of size once Trey Jackson Davis leaves after next season. You'll have Race Thompson, and that's about it.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a way to get that done, and unfortunately, the 2021 class is very much at a loss for big men. So they have to do some work now or wherever it might be, whether it is a guy like Logan Duncan from Ohio, a big kid named Frank Kepnig from up in Northeast, Trey Patterson's a 6'9" power forward that already visited campus earlier this year. One of those guys would be awesome. If not, maybe they try to find someone else in 2021. Again, via video, reclassify 2022 prospect, or go the transfer route.
Yeah, these kids that are going to be seniors, what is their best recourse? Do they make their own videos now? Do they have to go out and do their own training videos and show coaches?
Man, it's still a guessing game right now of no one knows what this pandemic is going to do. Whether we will have a June or July on the travel circuit, whether maybe no June, maybe we'll have a July and it gets extended till August, and they open everything up for the high school season for coaches to go out and about and really have no downtime. That also brings into play, are these kids willing to weigh out the process? Are they willing to not the early signing period is the end all be all for the most part for basketball kids. Will that be no more, and will it be more about making decisions during the high school season for most kids? And like you said, is it going to be video and all that? But that really can't showcase what they're like. That was what they were like back in December. What are they like, in June or July? It's a guessing game right now. Things are so fluid, but for the most part, prospects and coaches are just trying to find a way to really make for the best way they can really evaluate these high school kids.
Yeah, I think Jordan Geronimo would be a perfect example of somebody that you want to look at that you would have never heard of, and then all of a sudden he explodes, and now he's got a scholarship waiting for him at Indiana.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. He, I can't recall exactly what his offer list was this time last year, but it definitely was not the Indianas of the world. It might have been like the New Hampshire's of the world. I don't even think the Atlantic 10 schools were involved yet. I think Providence was maybe the first big-time school to get involved. Penn State was involved, but that's a perfect example of someone that this year in that mold, they aren't going to be able to see the recruitment be bolstered to that extent. And that's why we might see in 2-3 years another John Morant show up at Murray State because of this offseason that we're going through.
And that's those guys are special, and they're always fun to see, and that gives the mid majors. I mean, you look at Dayton last year, man. Dayton has always been a school that they've had success, of course, but when you have an Obi Toppin, man, what a year for a mid major like that last year.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, and kudos to Dayton. I mean, they did a great job of evaluating, and also, I mean, I saw Obi in high school, and he was not that guy. So, kudos to those guys for the skill development, trait development, and really helping get that kid to where he is now, to on the cusp of being an NBA lottery pick.
I mean, and that's the thing about there are certain coaches that have that ability. I mean, I know a lot of people, you say Tom Crean, and people, they shrug their shoulders some at Indiana. But, man, he found some Victor Oladipo and OG and Juwan Morgan, guys that a lot of people probably may not have recruited when they were in their development stages.
Yeah, some guys just have it, and some guys also kind of like doing that. They'd rather go that route than recruit the blue chip 5-star guys. And I know it's not what most fans want. They want the ready-made guys that Duke and Kentucky and Kansas are recruiting. But end of the day, someone like Tom Crean, they do a great job of, looking under every rock and finding ways to develop that hidden talent.
And you're one of those guys that has that ability. What is it about a kid? I know there's not one thing, but that when you first see him, that says, this guy may be something different. I mean, I know that there's a lot of different things, but athletic ability is one of those. But to some of those guys, you can just see that there's something different about them early on.
Yeah, it's kind of a feel about a kid, I think. That's what I'm going to miss about being out on the road and evaluating, is just having a feel. You can only see so much on video compared to being up and next to a kid. It's the way he moves, the way he walks, the way he deals with things, and also it's building a book on a prospect. It's about where he's been and where he's going, where he was his freshman year compared to his sophomore year, or sophomore to his junior year. You're trying to write a book on a kid, and the better chance of him progressing throughout his high school career, that only is exacerbated down the road in college and maybe the NBA.
We talked about Indiana's incoming class this year with all the guards. So next year in this 2021 class, obviously they're going to have to look differently to fill different roster positions. Where do you see Archie going? Some of the guys that are out there available.
Yeah, it's funny. They're still going after some guards right now. So, I mean, they're going after a guy like Aminu Mohammed, 6'5", 2'3", top 15, top 20 guard wing from Missouri that they're heavily involved with. Blake Wesley as well from South Bend. Back towards them, I think Trey Kaufman's probably one of their top priorities. I know he's more of a wing forward type, but for what Indiana might be trying to do, he's probably more of a 4 or 5, I think. And again, Frank Kepney, true center, he kind of has some Udoka Azubuike in him from the New York area. He's definitely one guy that they're honing in on, as well as Trey Patterson, kid from New Jersey, 6'9", kid that took a visit to Indiana already. Also visited Stanford, visited Florida, top 35 prospect in that class. So those are just a few of the kids involved. They're also recruiting Mike Miller's son from Memphis, Mason Miller. He's one to keep tabs on. Jeremy Sokan from Lullameer School in Indiana, 6'9" kid. So they're trying to really open up some paths there and try to figure out who they should recruit and who the kids they really need to prioritize the next few weeks and months, as all they really have to do is film work for the most part.
And there's always talk about when a coach comes in of him getting his players, his style of players. And that has been the case here with Archie and Crean. And well, now going forward next season, that will pretty much be the case. Some of the guys were recruited by Crean, but they never played for him they're coming up next. How important, you've seen Archie coach over several years. How important is that to his style of getting this roster, how he needs it?
Yeah, Archie is no nonsense, right? We all know that. And he needs those kind of guys. He needs some hardworking guys. And even if they're a little less talented, he just wants, quote unquote, his guys. And I think he's getting to the point now where you have guys like Finney and Armand Franklin and Trace Jackson Davis, in the incoming 2020 class. It's huge. I mean, it's why he wanted Dayton, because he got his kind of guys, and his kind of for his system. And I think he did his best with what he had early on. But to get all his guys there now, 4 years of his guys again, I think it's going to equate to much greater success on the playing floor.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Indiana is a program that's starving to get back to that level where they used to live. And obviously that has not been the case for a while now, but this is a fan base that is clamoring for that. And I think might explode if and when that happens.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, it's bubbling, and I know IU fans want it now, and they've been fairly patient the past 4 or 5 years. But I think this roster is one that could grow in due time, be one that competes for a Big Ten title. I mean, the Big Ten is tough next year. There's no doubt about that. You have Illinois, you have Michigan, you have Iowa, Michigan State, Ohio State. Never know about a school like Wisconsin and Rutgers. It's deep, so it's not easy. This is not even the Big Ten from 5-6 years ago, where it was 5 or 6 good teams. You now have the bottom feeders like Penn State and Rutgers competing for a Big Ten title. So there's some depth there, but I think having this strong of a backcourt with this many good guards, and also a complete star in Trace Jackson Davis and a solid piece in Joey Brunk, that's one that can maybe go 10 deep and also be able to fight through the adversity of a Big Ten league play and be in position for a top 3, top 4 finish in the league, and maybe a top 4, top 5 seed in the tournament next year.
You talk about Trace Jackson Davis, and he was an absolute star, a phenomenal freshman campaign, in which he played above his years. But, man, he could be an absolute spectacular centerpiece next year with these guards around him.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, just imagine what he did last year, and you throw more perimeter help around him, better shooters around him, and another year of experience under his belt, and hopefully an offseason of development, and Trace could be a complete star. I mean, not just in the Big Ten, but also nationally as a first, second, third team All-American type.
How much does it help his development, other guys' development, though? But playing in the Big Ten, the bigs that were in the Big Ten last year are phenomenal.
Crazy, man. I've never seen anything like it before in my life. I mean, literally every team had someone. I mean, Minnesota, who was finishing in the bottom of the conference, had maybe the best big man in America with Daniel Otoro, or at least the most underrated big man in America with Otoro. And got on the list, Cockburn and Garza and Jalen Smith and Xavier Tillman, all these guys, man, it's unbelievable. There's never an off night. So you have to imagine that Trace Jackson Davis took the most of that, and just knowing who he is and the hard worker that he is, I think he really improved from that. And, next year he's going to be a complete stud.
And the Big Ten this year, of course, was a juggernaut, and you talked about how it's going to be just as tough next year. I mean, the conference has always been good, but wow, the depth next season is crazy. Of course, bad timing if you're trying to build a program like Archie is, but he's coming through it just fine, it seems like.
Yeah, that's what fans have to realize. I mean, this is not 4, 5, 6 years ago where it was, Michigan State and Ohio State and Purdue and Wisconsin. It is like we talked about. You throw in a Penn State, you throw in a Rutgers, and Now we're talking about Michigan recruiting a top 5 class in America. Talking about Iowa having the best big man, maybe the national player of the year with Luka Garza. And then Illinois is just, I mean, what they're bringing in next year with Adam Miller and Andre Carbello and Kofi Cockburn stays. It's a 10, 11, 12 deep conference next year, and every night is going to be an absolute war.
Yeah, and it's looking forward to it because I guess the fans always end up benefiting here because the games that were in the Big Ten last year were spectacular.
No doubt. I mean, it's going to be the same way next year. I mean, the numbers for the home and away splits were pretty crazy last year. I don't know if it'll be to that extent next year, but still, I mean, it's every game is going to be a fun one. I mean, even a school like Nebraska is going to be better. Northwestern, they were so young and inexperienced. They'll be 1 year older. Every year is going to be great television, or every game is going to be great television.
He's a national basketball analyst for Rivals.com. Corey, I cannot thank you enough, man. I look forward to chatting again later on.
Excited about it, man. Thanks a lot. Thanks so much for having me on here. You
betcha. Corey Evans, the national basketball analyst from Rivals.com, joining us here at Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. We got a little more to come back right here to the studios, Eagle Point Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, powered by Rivals. Stay tuned. We'll be back to finish out the show.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, powered by Rivals. Make sure you go to thehoosier.com, sign up for a free account there. Lots of content coming up. Jordan Hulls is now a contributor. Charlie Miller is a contributor. Mitchell Page is a contributor. Got more coming. Going to be covering recruiting, which is there's not a lot to cover, but we'll be covering recruiting, everything. Great to have Corey Evans on today. Man, that was a great conversation with Corey from Rivals.com on Indiana's recruiting situation and recruiting in general. Appreciate Kevin on the show today as well. Mo Creek was great. Man, Mo was awesome today, Jake. That was some good stuff from Mo. If you didn't get to hear that, go back and listen. I know we had a few texts in on the show today, too. I didn't want to miss those. Ryan in Michigan says Creighton puts around – oh, no. It's just found out last night that there are a couple live sports events going on. WWE and AEW both are wrestling and performing at no audience, I believe. WWE was on USA Station and AEW is on TNT. That's weird. So, yeah, you got that going on. But not a lot else happening. But congratulations to Matt Taylor, our good friend on radio, him and his wife, their new son Hayden. Congratulations to those guys. The NCAA announced that they will continue the recruiting dead period through May 31st now. So, we talked about this recruiting, and I wish I'd have brought that up with Corey, but it doesn't really change things because it's just no different than it is now, just pushing out what we were talking about exactly further out. So recruiting is still dead through May now. So that's another 2 months of that, and they'll look and see where we are at that point. Mentioned earlier in the show, Ed Schilling, former Indiana assistant, off to Grand Canyon now as he will head out west. Not a bad place to land out there in Arizona, man. Victor Oladipo. Hey, you got that sound? Victor Oladipo, a virtual concert he put on, Virtuoso. I don't know, when was this? Yesterday? But, you see a lot of people, Garth Brooks and whatever. But how about Victor getting into the action with a little virtual? The man can sing, as we all know. There's no doubt about that. Let me know when you're ready.
I've been so many places in my life, and
that was
sung a lot of songs. I made some bad rhymes.
That was it? Where's the rest of the concert, man? How long did it last?
It's 50 minutes long.
Are you kidding me?
No, it's a whole
Just
show.
him? Just him singing for 50 minutes?
There might be other people on there. I didn't watch it, but
is there a link? We'll have to put that link up.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video of it.
We need to throw that link up just for fun. Let's see. The HBO documentary on CBS. Mentioned that when Kevin Brockway was on with us earlier in the program. If you haven't had a chance, go out. I haven't not watched that yet. I'm going to watch that. I'm going to watch that this morning or today. Check that out. But I've heard a lot of people talking about it, talking about the FBI investigation into college basketball and all that that went on. So interviews with all some of the participants. Looking forward to that as well. But big thanks to Corey Evans from Rivals for joining us on the program today. Kevin Brockway from CNHI Papers, and of course, former Hoosier Maurice Creek joining us as well. Can't thank him enough. We appreciate all of you guys as we continue plodding along. Hey, make sure to do us a favor. Go to thehoosier.com. Sign up for a free account there. You can find all the interviews there. There's going to be a lot of interviews there that are not here. Jordan will be doing interviews on his own. Mitchell Page will be doing his own interviews as well. So bringing a lot of different content to you, and look forward to it. But thanks a lot for staying with us. We really appreciate you as we continue to try to provide as good a programming as we can as we get through this coronavirus pandemic. I know everybody's out there and at home, and we're trying to plot through this as well and keep giving it to you. So we appreciate you, and thanks to everybody that did join us on the show today. Thanks a lot to Mo Creek. Thanks a lot to Corey Evans and Kevin Brockway. Tomorrow we're back at it. Tyra Buss, the former IU great, to join us. Todd will be back hopefully from his hiatus, and we'll talk to you then. Until then, for Jake and Todd, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.